This is Unleash Your Inner Legend, a podcast featuring modern-day legends sharing their life choices, habits, and routines that got them through where they are today. Get ready to be inspired and to take massive action to unleash your inner legend. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Legend, Episode 2. It's Hollie here, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I have done and implemented in my life that have broken that self-doubt cycle and really unleashed my inner legend, allowing me to live the life that I wanted to live to the fullest and just be genuinely happy. My lowest point in life was when I was so focused and consumed on what others thought about me and said about me that I lost who I was. Now, these were people who didn't have my best interests. They weren't coming from a place of love. So really, truthfully, I would have never been accepted in the end anyways. I didn't focus on the people who meant the most to me, like close family friends, because I was immature in my thinking that they'll love me regardless, which was crazy. And now that I'm looking back, I understand it all. So here's some principles that I've implemented in my life to change my mindset when it comes to what people think of me. First and foremost, and this is rule number one, if they aren't coming from a place of love, I am not interested in hearing their feedback. You know, there's so many internet trolls out there. There's so many people, hateful people on social media, so many gossipers. And to me, I've made peace in myself knowing that if they're not having my best interest at heart, they're just being ugly and there's really no solution to their quote unquote problem they have with me. I've learned to tune those types of people out. Second is understanding that I will not be everyone's kind of people, which is great and fine because they're not my kind of people. Third is acknowledge that people are going through life and saying the things that they say and doing the things that they do because of the life that they've experienced. And understanding that if I was them, I would feel the same way too. I just feel so sad sometimes with all these people who are consumed in gossip and hatefulness that I pity them that they haven't had enough love in their life that they have to be so negative. Next is, understanding that what people feel about you is their problem and not yours. Let that be their business. You tend to your own. And lastly, be so focused on yourself that you don't have time to think about what other people are thinking. So going through these mental models and reiterating these statements have been a game changer for me. Another lesson that I've learned is to really embrace my quote-unquote flaws. I have found out how to use them to my advantage. So here's an example of one. I am extremely introverted. I hate phone calls. I don't like group settings. I prefer groups of 5 people or less, and I am so socially awkward. I've always found that when I forced myself to pretend to be a people person, I was miserable, and I just wasn't good company. In high school, though, I loved me some MySpace. And why? It was because I wasn't forcing myself to speak to people in social settings that made it awkward. I could turn off my laptop, and that would be it. So, I was obsessed over MySpace. I obsessed over pimping out my MySpace page. Those profiles that had like the loop music in the background that you couldn't pause. Yeah, that was mine. Those profiles with scrolling text with that wicked background, that was mine. I had friends at the time actually asking me to pimp their page. And I really should have turned it into a side gig if I had known what I know now and could have been hustling out some Pimp My Page MySpace edition. Anyways, learning those things have helped me cope with my antisocial personality. And it's actually made me pretty good at HTML. So now I use that knowledge into my business and to help others too. And to be honest, I save thousands of dollars in developer fees because of the HTML I've learned. So, and then also, being on MySpace really helped me connect with people through social media and how to communicate with people over text. Been an amazing opportunity because we've been able to land some stellar interviews simply by connecting with people via social media. So embrace that inner David and show them up with your so-called weaknesses. And another thing that has always held me back was being overwhelmed with anxiety. I mean, that kind of anxiety that has you talking yourself out of doing the things you want to do because of all the what ifs. The what if I fail? What if something bad happens? What if it doesn't work out? What if that's a bad idea? So first acknowledge these feelings that you're experiencing. And it's okay to be scared, hurt, angry, etc., because we're human. And that's okay. It's okay to be human, but it's not okay to be stuck in that feeling though. As humans, we have these instincts for reasons, but this is a way that our body is telling us that something isn't right. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's probably because you're starting to feel some anxiety or some frustration that's taking over you, which is probably resulting from poor planning. It's being aware of what's the root of those feelings and then doing something about it to change that situation. Did you plan your day poorly and now feel overwhelmed? Well, acknowledge that and say, okay, great. So now I better put time in my calendar to go back and, block out my day, plan it properly so that I don't experience this feeling again. Trust me, the quicker you identify the cause of the feeling and finding the solution, the better your life will be. And a book that changed my life that I want to share with you guys on anxiety and depression is called How to Stop Worrying and Stop Living by Dale Carnegie. This book I reread, re-listen to on Audible yearly. I mean, that's how much of an impact it has on my life. So if you're facing some depression, anxiety, this book is a must read, or like I said, must listen to on Audible. So the top lessons that I've learned through this book, and I've kind of added my own twist too, I just wanted to share those with you. So, if you find yourself ate up with worry over something, first ask, is this a real problem? If the answer is no, just understanding that sometimes we worry about events that never happen. Think about the law of averages and ask yourself, what's the odds of this actually even happening? Don't fret, don't worry over things that haven't came yet, and just take it day by day. Now, if you ask yourself that question, that is this a real problem? And the answer is yes. I always like to go through a couple of processes. And first is the aeropostale process. So first, number one is get the facts. Number two is analyze the facts. And number three is arrive at a decision and then act on that decision. And Galen Lynchville's technique is very similar as well. Step one is, what am I worrying about? Ask yourself, what am I worrying about? And then taking a pen and a paper and writing it down. Step two, ask yourself, well, what can I do about it? Sometimes it comes down to taking action, such as hiring a lawyer. These things you legally cannot do, but you can take some action and consult an expert, right? So that's taking action about it. So write down step two, which will be, what can you do about it? Step three, realizing, okay, so this is what I'm going to do about it. Come to the conclusion of all your options. This is what I'm going to go for. And then step four is, when am I going to start doing it? Put a deadline to that. Make it an actionable goal. Now, if you're in a situation you cannot change the way you think about it. Learn to live with the inevitable. If you know a circumstance beyond your control and you cannot change it, say to yourself, this is so, it cannot be otherwise. Once you come to the term that you can't change the things, you'll start finding peace that will come to you. Another huge takeaway from the book was to live in day-tight compartments. When you live your day in the present and focus on that day solely, you will start to develop the habit of not worrying about things that never happen and being able to be fully present in life. Now, these are principles and mindset habits that I've instilled in my life to change the course of my thinking. Once I learned to embrace my weaknesses, control my anxiety, depression, and limiting beliefs, I have felt unstoppable. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unleash Your Inner Legend. For more inspiration, make sure to subscribe by going to unleashyourinnerlegend.com. We'll see you guys next week.